Yeah. If I have not met you yet, my name is Amy Hinch, and I get to be the Connections Director here at Fellowship. There's a couple different parts of what that job means. One is that I get to connect with new folks and then help them walk through if this is the church that God has had you call home. So if you're new today, welcome. This is who we are. We keep it real and we keep it fun. Another part of my job is I get to oversee connecting our church to our community and our nation and our world. So today, at the end of this piece, we're going to talk about how we as a church are connected to the world. But first, before I go into talking about our previous Dominican Republic trip that we just took a month ago, I want to give you an update on Mary Massey. If you were here a month ago, Matt did a prayer for Mary. She is one of our members here at Fellowship who is a missionary in Moldova. And if you're knowledgeable about Moldova, it borders Ukraine. So I want to give you a Ukrainian update on what Mary is doing there. I just emailed with her this morning. So she is a teacher there at a school. They live about 30 miles from the Ukrainian border. And her latest update is our local church is still driving refugees to Romania to help them get to the buses that take them to Germany. We still have 4 people living at the school currently, and recently there have been more explosions in western Ukraine, so we're preparing for more waves of refugees if that happens. We have also sent tons of groceries and medical supplies recently into the Ukraine. Please pray for more opportunities to do this, and that would be great as we want to be prepared for another wave of refugees if and when it happens. So thanks for being a church that is unified not only by location in the gospel, but we are unified throughout the nations. And God is doing great things in and through us, even though we are in the midst of travesty and sadness. So continue to pray for her. But like I said, we want to do a Dominican Republic report. Twice a year, I get to take trips to the Dominican Republic with folks just like you. I lead adults and families on trips to, right now, the Dominican Republic through Bold Hope. So these trips are for anyone. If kids want to go and you as parents want them to go, you get to go with them. That's part of that requirement. Or if you're just an adult who wants to go, we offer these twice a year. But today we just want to share with you what God did in the team and through the team and also through you. So as Fred taught today about unity, there were 5 of us that went on the trip, but it included many more than those 5 people. Because of your generosity as a church, we were able to take $500 worth of supplies down to the missionaries in the Dominican Republic. 2 of those supplies were really great, large first aid kits for them to have as they are out in the Bates and Altavia, and we will explain to you what those 2 words mean shortly. It also included supplies. We had 3 large suitcases full of supplies to take to them so that when the missionaries there in the DR are teaching Bible classes to kids and adults, as we are doing Bible stories with them, lessons and that kind of thing, it was able to supply arts and crafts supplies, bubbles. I've never seen the joy in a kid's face just through bubbles. It was fantastic. But you were able to get bubbles, baseball bats, balls, and all those kind of supplies that will help them throughout their ministry, not only while we were there as a church, but also throughout the years to come. Also, many of you participated in this trip simply by praying for us. And I say simple because it is a simple thing that we get to do, but it means volumes. We all passed our COVID test to be able to go. We made our flights. Those are the 2 things I stress out the most about. But we had no injuries. The weather was great. And ultimately, we had windows of opportunity to share the gospel, share about Jesus with the folks there. So thank you for your prayers. I can't say that enough. And Fred just said in his sermon, unity is the work of God in God's people. So again, as I say, we're the team that got to go. Each and every single one of you has a part in that, so I want to say thank you. So part of what I love about Bold Hope in the Dominican Republic is they're not just a group who comes and plops down missionaries and says, all right, create your own system. Take the gospel of Jesus into these cities and villages. Although they do take the word of Jesus there, what they do is they partner with local pastors in churches. They partner with local individuals who are already doing the work. So one of the main pastors there is Pastor Ramon in his church, Iglesia Bautista de la Romana. That church and that pastor, Pastor Ramon, is doing amazing things in the Dominican Republic. There's one place called Altavia where we served last time in October as well as this time, where there is a pastor's home that they helped build there. Pastor Verger, lives there in the community of Altavia. She pastors them, and literally right behind her home, think wall to wall, is a community center. That community center was built and established by Pastor Ramon and his church. It's the community center, it's their church there in the village. It's also their school where they get schooling. So that is just one of the many things that Pastor Ramon is doing. Another that their church is doing is they've created an orphanage. So families, kids who don't have parents, they can live on the orphanage, and that just started and it is growing. So I think we met 8 to 11 guys that are living there right now, and he's doing that. His church is doing that. They're all part of it. And then he partners with individuals. So many of the folks working for Bold Hope, the connection is Pastor Ramon. So there's interpreters, there's English teachers, and it's just a great picture of how God is using Bold Hope to work in and through the natives to do the work of the gospel there in the DR. So we are a church, we're a gospel-centered church, creating environments where life change is possible. So we are about discipleship, and discipleship is becoming more like Jesus. So kind of what we say in discovery and membership class, if you've been in that before, is there's a soil that is created that kind of makes up a good growing ground for discipleship. Part of that is attending, give, group, serve, and share. And share is that last part that we're doing today. We want to share the stories of what God did while we were gone, while we were over there. So we're going to do it in a couple different ways. First, you will see a video of Brian and Grady Flagler, who could not be with us today. And then Ben is going to come up, and then I'll close this out. So thanks for being here so that we can share the stories. So you can start.
Fellowship. This is Brian Flagler and
Grady Flagler.
And we wish we could be with you today. It was very special to get to take my youngest son and to get to have this time with him on a missions trip, which we've never done before.
So this is Autovia, which is Spanish for highway. First day on the Sunday, we went to church and we got to play with the kids. And in this one, we're putting concrete, finishing up a roof just to redistribute where the rainwater is going.
And I enjoyed getting to know the kids in Altavia. I don't speak Creole or Spanish, so the universal hand slapping game was my way to connect. And here I get to play with Kiki, who was with us both the days we were there.
This is Bate Brador, and it's one of like 500 or so bates, which is just a little village where they harvest sugarcane. And you can see the housing there. You can see these carts are what they weigh the sugarcane in, and off to the right in the back is miles and miles of sugarcane fields. And there's a community center here that we were painting the inside to brighten it up so they could work for longer.
So we cleaned it up, and then as we were cleaning, we found a friend. I had not seen a tarantula before.
Yeah, one of the kids picked it up and threw it outside.
Grady made a friend.
Giordani.
Got an opportunity to play a little basketball. There's a metal ring nailed to the tree that serves as the hoop. This is Epifania, who is a lawyer working in the Betes in the Dominican. And I'll pause for a minute and share a bit of a story, because for me, this was the biggest way I saw God move in our time there. 4 years ago, I took our son Sam to Haiti with Bold Hope and Fellowship. And it was a beautiful people. The gospel was the source of hope in that environment, but there was just no economic path out of poverty that I could see in Haiti. And I left discouraged in that regard. Now serving in the Dominican, Haitian immigrants working on the Betes, they have the freedom to come into Haiti, into the Dominican, if they will only live on the Bete. And on the Bete, they make $4 a day, working 12 to 14 hours cutting sugarcane. Subsistence living, but no way off the batey, unless you can speak English or Spanish and you have your documentation. And with documentation, you can get a job in the tourism industry in the Dominican. So Bold Hope is teaching English and Spanish and encouraging families in the bateys, and has partnered with Epifania and her law firm to secure documentation for the Haitian immigrants for them to then find jobs in the Dominican economy. And had 3 different conversations with Epifania. We have a relationship now that hopefully connects some other lawyers in the U.S. with what they're doing there. One other part of the story is we had 2 wonderful English translators with us most of the time. On the left is Ismail, and in the center there is who we call the Duchess, Sol. And Ismail's story is connected with Epifania. So he grew up in the Batey 106 and was taught English and is now an English teacher. He has his documentation. He has a sustainable profession and life. And it was amazing to get to know him and hear his story, and how Bold Hope has been involved in that sustainable ministry. And our last part of the story, on our last day, we went to the beach, and Ismail was with us, and he actually went into one of the gift shops and ran into one of his students who now has his documentation and is now working in the gift shop.
So this is in the 3rd place we went. It's the orphanage in La Romana, which is just the city we were near. That is Juan Miguel. He was helping us when we were clearing out these weeds and rocks from the orphanage, from this big field. We had a lot of fun there learning about what they're doing at the orphanage, what their plans are for the future. And this is Wiggins. This is in Batay Brador, and he loves bubbles. He would play with them all day if he could. It was amazing just to see his joy in those little bubbles.
The girls were enjoying doing some jump roping on our last day in the afternoon. The kids called into the truck to escort us off. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to share a little bit about our trip. Thank you for all of you who prayed for us and who supported us and supported others on our team. To Amy and Caitlin and Ben, just had a wonderful time with you and with the Bold Hope missionaries. It was great. Thanks, everybody.
Hi, I'm Ben. So it's Romans 8:38 and 39 talks about nothing can separate us from the love of Christ, the present love of Christ. So certainly, the Lord was there with us in the Dominican Republic. I think for me as the second trip, so I don't know, I guess my motives for missions are semi-selfish. I like to travel. But in the same light, though, I think that the Lord was able to kind of still use that and kind of, while I was there, kind of show me the recesses of my own heart in being there and being part of the trip. Despite that, but some other things I experienced on this second trip to the same place. I went back in October as well, and so of course life went on without me, and that was, okay, that's good. The Lord is still there in the DR, still loving people, and so showing up and seeing that as well was good for me. But I think probably the theme for my trip, I would say this trip was relational more than anything. And it's ironic, we were talking about unity today of the body and the relational nature that we have among one another. This is something that the local missionaries, Franco and Gabriel, stressed while we were there. You can't really get anything done without having a relationship with people. It's not kind of like here, you can't really just make a phone call. But that was something they were stressing, the building of and maintaining and investing in relationships. I realized how vital it is to be seen for each of us. The mothers on the bateys, the kids. There was remembering one another. There were gifts. One kid gave us little bracelets. There were conversations, and there were even conflicts. We experienced that a little. Some kids getting getting feisty with each other. But just seeing and being a part of that and among that is another way to enter into the relational living with those people. And it was just a reminder that even the Lord wants to enter into our conflicts with us as well. But I think stewardship of relationships is something I'm getting better at. And being there was a good reminder that every moment counts. So I think some of the highlights of my trip reinforced that. Meeting Grady and Brian, appreciating the time I spent with Caitlin, Amy, and the gentleman David and Gracie from Georgia. So yeah. Oh, also I think for me, so there's a sponsorship program that goes on as well, and I sponsor one of these fellas, and it was good to see him. His name is Maiko, and we got to ride a donkey together, so that was really special for me. And we prayed for his mom earlier, who also indirectly is sponsored through those child sponsorships. And so we get to see the people that we, kind of have these relations with, over here. Yeah. So for me, the family of God connections and with the missionaries was special, and it reinforces. I think it's in Romans 12, Romans 11 and 12. For I wish that I could share a spiritual gift with you, that we might be mutually encouraged by one another's faith. I think we were mutually encouraged by the missionaries, and they us as well, and of course the people there, Pastor Ramon, and probably the kids, I'm sure, just to be seen. So yeah, I realized I'm selfish, but God's still working that out and through it. And so this was another meaningful investment for me. Mutual encouragement with the people in the DR and the people of the DR. And so, yeah, I would say it was relational for me.
So my story, I'll be quick, was that obviously I get to go on these and I get to talk with Andrew and Matt, who oversee Bold Hope and created it. And what I knew going in is that in Altavia, which literally means highway, it's a village, a community right beside the highway. That's where they don't have child sponsorships yet. And that's where they are investing time and energy in. And in Altavia, they want to purchase a piece of land. And that sounds really easy for us as Americans. We've got systems in place to do that. We've got lawyers who oversee it. But it is a very difficult thing to do in the Dominican Republic. But they really feel called to be in Altavia and have land and also have a well. So something in Altavia that they do not have that we have here readily available is water. They have to purchase their water from town, which they don't have much money to purchase water anyways. So water is definitely a life source. So I wanted to go see this land that Andrew and I talked about, and we were able to do that. And John, you can show that piece of land to everyone. So this is about 3 acres of land that Bold Hope is praying about purchasing. The process is going to take a little longer, just because processes with buying land in the Dominican is difficult. So I can't say that they may have this land next time that we go in October, or they may not have it in a couple years. But what I can say is that their dream and their vision for purchasing land in Altavia is extraordinary. We went and stood on this land. We grabbed a rock from it and brought it home with us. And what their goal for that land is to provide physical water so that people can be drawn to Jesus, who is the living water. And that is my prayer. That's what I prayed when we did a prayer walk through Altavia for that land. So something encouraging that I want to share with you guys of what God is doing in and through fellowship for Altavia is because of your generosity, we are able to give $10,000 toward this piece of land, toward this well that will literally bring people. Our prayer to the living water, Jesus. We just sent a check for $1,000 last week. Over the next 3 months, we will send a check of $3,000. So total, by July, we will be giving $10,000 toward Altavia as a church. And we couldn't do it if you guys weren't as generous as you were. But God is working in and through you and in and through your generosity to bring Christ to people who need that living water so desperately. So thank you, fellowship. Yeah, like standing on that piece of land, it was no doubt that that's what we need to do. I'm glad that God really clarified that for me. And thank you for putting me in a role to steward that. I'm honored to do what I get to do. So they're working. They are working on child sponsorships right now. Their end goal was to have 10 sponsors by April 1st. I haven't talked to them over the weekend to see if they've done that, but child sponsorships, you keep hearing us say that. They're like I said, it's coming in Altavia, but it's already in Bate Brador. Bate Brador is a village that's literally in the middle of a sugarcane field, as I believe Grady said earlier in his video. This is the place where Haitians can come to live, and they have a house over their head, but it is modern day slavery, and it's saddening to see that. But what is joyful is that although these people are living in pretty bad living conditions and really hard work, they work 12 hours a day, there's joy in these people's lives that we take for granted here in America, or I take for granted here in America. I know there's stats going around that we as Americans are some of the loneliest people in the world right now, which sounds silly because we're in a group of people right now. We've got social media at our fingertips, but we are lonely. So the things that we have or don't have, it's different there. They don't have things that we have, and they do have things that we don't have. Joy and community in relationships is what they have, and it's great for me to go and see that, to be reminded that we are a community of believers. We are a community of people to live together and point people to Jesus. So child sponsorships, what they do is it's for children, but it also blesses the entire family. They offer education, medical care, English classes, Bible classes, and documentation. You're more than welcome to email me or contact me, and we can talk more about what that entirely means. But in the meantime, I want you to know that there's some child sponsorship cards in the back of sweet little dear faces. If you want to hear the kid's story of who they are and what that child has, come talk to me or Ben or anyone who's gone on previous trips, because we really want to let Jesus show up in their lives. And this is one way that we can do that. $45 a month is how you sponsor a child. Each child has 4 sponsors, and that provides them what they need. Lastly, I skipped over it, but I want to share as we are quickly concluding, is Caitlin's story. You saw our photo a minute ago, and I just breezed right over it. But Caitlin is a community member here in Asheville. She lives here in Asheville, has been part of this church before, but is at a different church now, gladly doing that. So our trips aren't just for Fellowship Asheville people. It's for anyone who may want to travel and experience this. So Caitlin's story to you, Fellowship, is thank you so much for letting me join with the Fellowship crew. Thank you for including me in all of your prayer requests for the trip. There's still a lot of processing to do from this trip. It was such an incredible trip every way, most importantly with how Bold Hope has set their model of ministry. It is so beautiful to see them come alongside what God is already doing through the local churches. Their work in the Bates, which are the company-owned villages with shacks in the center of the sugarcane fields, far away from town and resources. Then in Altavia, another shanty village alongside the road. That is the next move after they receive documentation and can get a job outside of the Batey, where they have built their own homes out of branches and sheet metal. The thing that stuck with me, being Caitlin, came on the very last night when we were debriefing as a team. Someone said, the Bates provides security, but no opportunity. Altavia provides opportunity, but no security. I'm left with wondering, where in my life am I holding on to security and giving up on opportunity? It's so simple yet profound. What opportunity is the Lord calling me to do that I'm running from because I'm holding on to security? I think that's pretty profound. So opportunity or security, which one are we clinging to? And ultimately, we want to cling to Jesus. and do what he's called us to do. So, church, thank you so much for letting us share our story, share your story that you're part of in the Dominican. And may we be like these picked up feathers. May we come together as a body to point people to Jesus and to be unified through the gospel. Let me pray for us and we'll go. God, thank you so much for this church. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for just being who you are, a God of love and a God of unity. May we cling to that more and more each day. Bless our weeks. Thanks for loving us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thanks, y'all. Real quick, because I do feel a bit of responsibility. I mean, yes, we're all priests, and I get that, but y'all are going to go home, and I have to come back tomorrow. So if anybody wants to join me at like 2 o'clock, does Young Life meet in here today? Let's find them another place to meet. I'd hate for them to walk into this. If you have a dry vac and want to help, be back here at 2 o'clock, and let's clean this place up, okay? Love y'all. Thanks.